What's happening, everyone? What's happening? How are you? Are you surviving in this apocalyptic times we are navigating through at the moment? I hope you are well. I don't know how you landed here, but welcome to episode 43 of this majestic, stupendously stupid podcast named The Road. I'm in a weird mood this evening. Hey, check out the studio. It looks phenomenal in this light. I moved the lamp to the other side of the wall. It just looks legit, man. I hope these are all good. I hope everyone's good. I've had nothing but technical problems this week with sound and stuff for the podcast, but we take it on the chin and we soldier on and we move on regardless. This has been a crazy week. I have a guest this week, all the way from Chicago, baby, Chicago. Julie Murphy, a monster in her own right, a super high achiever. I suppose you could call her a wealth manager, but I think she does a lot more than that. She gives you a lot more than that as an individual. She's a very positive person, and getting her on this week, me and her have had schedule issues. I think we've cancelled twice because of issues. So this is third time lucky. We had a great chat, but it aligns perfectly. I mean, perfectly with everything that's going on in my life that some of you may know and some of you may not. That after 20 odd years in the motor trade, I've just walked out to do something that I'm more passionate about, and that is creating content for other people, right? Like, I'm a creator as such, or a writer, or a storyteller, or a podcaster. I just like making shit, right? But I never got paid for anything because all the craft I do is always a bit off. I've never made a pop song. I've never written a fucking like straight story or anything. I've never told spoken a podcast about gossip and rom-coms. It's always weird shit, you know. So not that finances have driven me, but I've gotten to a stage in life where I'm like, right, you got to make some money now. If you're going to jump out of your job that feels like a jail cell, you got to make some money. So I'm making content for me on the side. This podcast has kind of been pushed to the side a little bit, and I apologize for that. The stuff is still coming out. I just can't put the time in at the moment because I'm going through this ridiculous transition in life, which aligns with this podcast episode. Because now I have to make a living through making content for other people, and it's going well. I'm maybe 10 days into this jumping off the cliff, kind of burning the bridge behind me, walking the plank, walking the tightrope of life with no security, whatever you want to call it. I'm about 10 days in and I'm doing pretty well, probably better than most people anticipated. Still learning. Every day is a school day, but the Road podcast is very much a passion project, which has given me a lot of the skills required to excel in content creation and media in general. So I have to appreciate that, and this podcast is going to keep going, but I can't get the time to write as much as I'd like. Like, I miss storytelling, man. I do, right? And I have a few ideas, but I've literally got bills to pay and I've no guaranteed income, so I gotta focus on that for now. I hope you guys appreciate that. In the meantime, I get like really high level guests on. You know, this shouldn't be a vanity project. This shouldn't be about me going, look at me, I'm deadly at telling stories and writing stuff. When I get the opportunity to speak with people like Julie Murphy, I must grab that with both hands, because you will see, I haven't waffled in a while pre-podcast, but you will see the value she can bring to your life just by listening to this episode. And look, she's got her at juliemurphy.com. You'll find her on all the social sites. She's got a podcast. I've alluded to it all, already, I will put some links in the YouTube description. And last but not least, and I'm pointing matches now, right? I need subscribers, man. Play the algorithm game with me. Do the likes and subscribes. And if somebody is even having a set of balls to share the podcast, by all means do. Because when you put work in and work in and work in, it's nice to get a bit of feedback from time to time, good or bad. I will take bad feedback on the chin. I have done that many a time before. But anyway, episode 43. Let's go. Let's do this thing. Julie Moore-Feet, you legend. I had a great phone call with you today. And guys, take care of yourselves. You know where to find me. Have a good one. Bless. I want to introduce you with all the titles that you have earned, if that's okay.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So correct me if I'm wrong. I have done my research. But you are founder of JMC Wealth Management. Right? That's number one. Another title I have for you is creator and host of the Wake Up to Your Wealth podcast. Congrats on that one. I'm a fan. And author of 2 books. One being Awaken Your Wealth.
3.
Okay, well, you can correct me. All right, Awaken Your Wealth and the Emotion Behind Money. What's number 3? What am I missing?
The 4 Spiritual Laws of Money.
Okay, and what order did they come in out of interest?
Emotion Behind Money, Awaken Your Wealth, and then 4 Spiritual Laws of Money.
Okay, trust me to miss your latest book. I apologize.
All is good.
Yeah. But you're obviously a crazy busy individual, successful individual at that, so I congratulate you. I look up to anyone that's earned as much as you have. Not financially, I mean in life. So respect.
Yeah, thanks.
And
yeah, I knew how to work hard growing up. That's it.
Simple as.
Yeah.
Can we get a little bit about you growing up and maybe how it shaped you as who you are?
Sure. Yeah.
Cool. I'll leave it with you.
All right. Yeah. Do you want to go through that now?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay. Yeah. So I am one of 12 kids. I'm the second oldest. And so grew up, my first job was delivering newspapers when I was a kid. And I started getting into learning about finance because I used to deliver the Chicago Sun-Times and the Chicago Tribune newspapers at 6 a.m. before school every day. And I used to read people's newspapers. And because we couldn't afford the paper, so as simple as that sounds, we just, and then I just started, I had an uncle when I went away to college. He said to me, he goes, "You really need to go into sales." I'm like, I didn't have to pay $40,000 a year in school to go into sales. Like I could have did that without that. And so I decided I was like in financial sales then when I came out of school. I went to the University of Illinois and came out with student loan debt, car debt, you know, you name it. I had all the layer credit card debt, all those layers of debt. And then when I started as a financial planner, when I first got out of school, because it was like financial sales, if you will. And I just started on this journey where I knew there was a different way. I knew there was, you know, my dad had a pension. We didn't really have anything else. So I didn't know anything about investments until I went to college. And I couldn't, it blew my mind that you could put money in something and they would give you money back. Like, I'm like, wait a minute, that's true? And so I just started working with college graduates when I first came out because they just got the biggest pay raise of their life. And it was like, what do you want to do with it? And I just started people starting their plan, just like I was doing my own. And I really feel like our debt systems around the world trap people into lifestyles that then drive the economy because we have to go to work to pay those debt bills, and the consumer spending is 70% of what drives the stock market. And so when you realize how entangled our system is in making you go to work forcing you to continue to consume for prosperity and growth of the collective. But it keeps you trapped and on the treadmill of the system. And when I started to really realize that, when I was in my early 20s, when I was starting my business, going, I don't want to be trapped. I don't want handcuffs on. And so got out of debt. You know, I did the dance with debt just like anybody else did, because that's how most people get their mortgages. They get their homes that way. And, but we lose our freedom. And when I started to realize, going, it's amazing what happens to somebody the day they have enough money to tell their boss to go jump in the ocean. Or the day they pay off their house, or the day they pay off their student loans, they're so happy.
Yeah.
Like there's this freedom and this happiness that just comes over them. It's like, well, why is it that we aren't choosing that every day? Because we could. We just have to decide it's okay to do it a different way. And that's what really drove me to start writing my books and getting the message out and being on podcasts, because that sense of freedom, I think every single one of us is starving for. And it's just time for us to have it.
I think that's what I appreciate about your work and your words, more importantly, is you teach people about the psychological factors with money and the emotion behind it. And the reason it resonated with me was because I have done all those I've made all them mistakes you refer to, all of them. And it's only later in life now I'm like, okay, there's stuff you want and there's stuff you need, you know?
Right.
And I need to stop grabbing stuff that I want.
Well, we have to understand that spending and the things that we want is really just trying to resolve something emotionally inside of ourselves that planted in our system before we were 7 years old. And that happens to every human being. Like when we understand that we had some kind of event in our life, whether it was a trauma or a rejection, that hardwired into us, and that then becomes the basis of the work that you're doing in your entire life. Because you're trying to you think of it this way. You've attracted the same friends, the same bosses, the same relationships, because you're trying to resolve something within self. Like I have a friend that was the same one in college, different name, different face from when I was in my graduate degree, but they have the same characteristics. They plug into the world very similarly. I'm a huge giver and they were huge takers. They would hoard all their money and keep it. And I'm like, you want to sit up at the bar stool with me because I'll be buying rounds, right? I'm a giver. Right. And so I surrounded myself with takers. And once I started to realize that pattern, I was like, oh, wow, I don't want this. It took me until I was in my mid-30s when I said, you know what? I want mutually beneficial relationships, and that's it. And I didn't realize that would lead me to getting divorced. It would lead me to almost every friend that I had is no longer in my life. It was amazing how, and then those people would say that it was me, that I was the one at fault because I decided I actually wanted mutually beneficial relationships. And
wow,
that's what's interesting, because they liked it the way that it was. It was working well for them, right? But it wasn't working well for me. But those were my life lessons. And I understand that. I get that, but it even happened with employees. It's like, my ex-husband comes from a family that has alcoholism in it. There's people that have died in his family from it. And I didn't realize that, oh my gosh, one of my great friends from college came from an alcoholic family. One of my employees started showing up. I knew her for 20 years. She started showing up to the office drunk at 7 a.m. It's like, who? What? But the minute I decided I did not want these codependent relationships, which were not mutually beneficial, all of a sudden, every area of my life, it fell away. It was crazy. And every person, every human has something that occurred in their childhood before age 7 that then gives the basis of how you're plugging in the world. And when you realize that, you go, oh, okay, well, is this what I choose or is this what I not choose? Because that overspending, like you said, the mistakes you said that you made, that's only because you're trying to satisfy that little boy inside of yourself that still doesn't feel safe, has something still unresolved. And
Well,
when we can realize this, so when you don't spend, you probably get a little squirmy, right? Like
yeah.
you itchy scratchy because that itchy
Yeah.
whatever is that inside of yourself, it's trying to come up and out. I hope that all
It's
makes sense.
it makes total sense. It was the most concise answer I've ever received on this podcast.
I've said
um
it a couple times.
yeah, I can see that. What is
Oh,
it? What is it? For me, sometimes I look at these things, not maybe with the depth that you have over the years, but why do working class people, why do they burn holes in their pockets immediately? Like
yeah,
the money cannot stay in the wallet or the pocket.
yeah.
I don't
It's
get it.
because we want something bigger and better. You know, in my book Awaken Your Wealth, I talk about different economic categories for people, and I talk about that there's the poor, debtors, dreamers, accumulators, and rich but empty. Because anybody who is poor, debtor, dreamer, or an accumulator, they think, well, once I get rich or I'm have money, all is going to be okay.
Yeah.
But then all that happens is you become rich but empty because you think that you're going to hit this destination, but it's not the money that actually creates the happiness. It's the wholeness in actually being your authentic self all along the way. And the reason we burn a hole in our pocket is because we're doing work and we're working hard and we're working for other people and we're getting the paycheck, we're providing for our families, we're doing all those things, but you're not happy. You're not truly happy. So the money burns a hole in your pocket. I call it a leaky container in my book, Awaken Your Wealth, because when you're not being 100% your authentic self. So what happens with people is your soul comes into the world to live this life. And let's say it's in this direction. Like this is your soul's path. But then we have free will and we have free choice, like the hole in our pocket, right? And then we start making choices that create a diversion, right? So depending on how far you are off your soul's path is the bigger the midlife crisis you're going to have. Because
Okay.
you're going to get smacked by the universe back into alignment with your soul. And that's going to be the crisis you call in. So it comes in little pieces like money burning hole in your pocket early on, but it comes with big whammies the longer you go not aligning with self.
Right.
And real wealth, so that you're not rich but empty, is about really being 100% your authentic self in alignment with your soul and being wealthy at the same time. And that doesn't necessarily, so people don't feel like they can have that until they have a lot of money. And I'm telling you, I have people that make $40,000 a year and they are doing exactly what their soul came here to do in this earth. And they are the happiest people I know. And what happens then, more money comes to you, more opportunities come to you, and it just comes in droves. It's amazing.
That's so cool. It's
We're a
that
magnet.
sounds, yeah, that kind of sounds like a lot of stuff I listen to now, and a lot of friends I surround myself with are much more positive people, much more go-getters, business minded. Um, they speak to me about manifestation. They speak to me about
Mm-hmm.
being on the right frequency, and
Right.
all this sounded like a foreign language to me like 18 months ago, and now I'm like,
Yeah.
yes, I understand it now. I
Yeah.
actually understand it. It's so cool.
Well, and if somebody listening has a problem with having money burn a hole in their pocket, I always give this assignment out. Take a big bill. So like in the United States, take $100 bill, right? Or you can take 100 euros, whatever. And you put that in your wallet and under no circumstances spend it. Well, what starts happening over time, and it might only be like 3 days or it could be 2 weeks, a month. So in the United States, that $100 bill has Benjamin Franklin on the front of it. I always tell people, I'm like, Benjamin Franklin's going to start talking to you. Like, literally. You'll be like, I'm here. I'm in your wallet. Like, I want to start, because that itchy, scratchy feeling again is going to come up. And it's going to come up because it's time for it's trying to get you to spend it. But what the lesson is to learn to hold money in abundance. And most people I give this assignment to, at some point, they tell me, but I just had to, and whatever ... reason it is. And then I say, okay, get back on the horse, get another 100 and put it in there. Because eventually what happens, the time in between gets longer and longer that you're holding money in abundance. And eventually you forget it's even there. And that's where you're building the muscle, or the frequency, if you will, for abundance, for financial abundance. Because at some point, like, I can have, it's funny, people say to me all the time, like, I don't understand how you can carry $500 in your wallet. And I go, why? Like, aren't you afraid to lose it? I'm like, no. Like we have all this fear of money that just screws with people's brains.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I only carry my credit cards. I'm like, well, your credit cards are like, it's like crack, because you slide it.
It's magic.
And you don't even realize. My daughter, when she was like 5 years old, she says to me, she goes, I told her, no, Mom doesn't have the money. We're not going to go to Target. She goes, Mom, I don't understand what the problem is. All we got to do is go in the store. You slide that card you pull out of your wallet all the time, and I get my toys. And it's like, oh my God. Like, I realized then I needed to do something different with my kids. So I handed them cash, and then all of a sudden they didn't have enough money to buy what they wanted. It's kind of funny.
It's a good lesson to learn. Do you think the digitization of money, it makes it even easier to get yourself into debt?
Well, there's no doubt.
Yeah.
There's no doubt. You don't internalize. You will hand over a $100 bill with a lot more hesitancy than you would, sliding a credit card. You won't buy the same thing.
In what sense?
Meaning, like, you'll evaluate, like, do I really want that or do I not want that? But if you pay cash for things, it lands in your system. But with digital money, it doesn't land. It's like Monopoly money. It's funny money, right? It just doesn't land inside of us.
I think my biggest problem was feeling like loans were a good idea.
Right.
And then loans to pay loans.
Right. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
And it compounds.
Yeah, that's the thing I didn't understand when I was younger. I didn't understand how much interest I was actually paying on these things.
Right. Yeah, it's crazy.
Don't look at your mortgage statement either. My God. My God. Yeah, it's funny.
Well, and it's about when people go, well, but I want to buy a house. And I'm like going, so I always tell people, like, when they buy a 30-year mortgage, I said to one of my aunts one time, she was 52 at the time. I said, you want to pay your mortgage off at 82? She goes, no, I don't. I go, well, that's what you just bought. Like, we don't think of what it does to us on the back end.
I suppose a lot of people don't have any other options.
Right.
It's tricky. I'm sure it's tricky in the States. It's tricky here. It's very tricky here to get a house. Yeah, it's pretty rough
and
at the moment.
The thing is that you don't have to suffer. So, for example, I had one woman who really didn't want to leave her 3-bedroom condo that she had, but she was so unhappy in the job that she was doing, and she wanted to start her own business. And I said, well, so if you really don't want to leave where you're living, but you want to stay there, well, think of solutions out of the box. So I said, what about the fact that you have 3 bedrooms? Why don't, as you're starting your new business, get 2 roommates? She charged rent. So then her out-of-pocket was only like $300 a month because the rent from the other 2 paid her bills.
Yeah.
And then that gave her a transition time. And some people may not want to do that, especially like she was in her 30s at the time, but it was a great solution for her to get out of corporate America and go find a job that do work in the world that really fed her heart and her soul. And to this day, she still runs her own business 20 years later, and she's thriving. And she found she didn't even want to stay in the city of Chicago. She decided to move to Colorado, so you don't know what's going to open for you. I always talk about that. It's let your freak flag fly. So be exactly who you are.
Yeah.
And all these things then start to magnetize towards you. And your job is once they show up, step into them. Because that's when you're doing what I call the pull method, as opposed to push and work hard and block and tackle and do, run
Yeah.
yourself ragged.
I mean, listening to you, I feel like you're more of a life coach than a financial advisor. I think your
Well, but
stuff is so deep.
money ties it all together,
Yeah.
right? Because that's how we live. But if we don't understand what's really driving everything, like if you start to realize going, oh my God, our debt system was created so that the powers that be around the world, the wealthiest people, they're called the Bilderbergers. There's a group that gets together once a year,
Yeah.
and they're the wealthiest people around the world. They're the ones driving the engine. And when you realize that they created the debt system that we have today, which includes the Federal Reserve System in the United States, but all run by the monarchy in Britain and, all the other wealthy families around the world, that debt system was made to control the masses.
Percent.
And when we realize that, why would they want to control the masses? Oh, because they want to drive how you have to go to work to pay all your bills. Because most people want to pay their bills. Most people want to do the right thing, and they'll work to get that taken care of. But we don't realize we just put ourselves in financial jail. And now we're victim of the system. And when you realize that you've just put those handcuffs on yourself, nobody did it, you did it. There's a sobering process that happens after that, because then you got to claw your way out.
Yeah, but the awareness to realize that is something that a lot of people won't even open their eyes to. So if you've gotten yourself to that moment where you are aware of all your mistakes and you're willing to try and climb out of that hole, good for you.
Right.
Because there is a way out, like for most people.
Always. There's always a way out. And sometimes it takes tough choices, but that's okay. I've helped people move their houses because I'm like, okay, well, if you want to switch your jobs and you have to take less income, okay, well, what size house can we get then that fits that number? Or rent out rooms, or find a house that's a foreclosure, or there's so many things that you can do. There's not one way to get it done.
Yeah.
There's many ways to do it. You just have to decide in your own mind that you want to live a different reality. And then once you do that, you make the proper steps to get that done.
That's where you come in.
Right. Right. And it doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't. It's all about self-love and self-care.
I had reached out to some of my kind of avid listeners and asked them, did they have any questions that I should ask you?
Yeah.
And I haven't gotten to any of them yet. So
let's do it. Let's do it.
So I've got like 8 or 9. And some of them are very open, so I'll just let you answer them the way you answer them.
Yeah.
So let me see. Here's an interesting one. Somebody asked me, what's the biggest lie people tell themselves about money?
The biggest lie they tell themselves about money.
Yeah.
I think it's that they have to work hard to receive it.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest lie.
Yeah,
because
I think you might be right.
When you're in alignment with self, you don't have to work hard. So I was fortunate enough at 22 years old that I really got the hit that this was what I was supposed to do for a living. And it actually came through a friend of mine. She goes, oh my God, Julie, I was just on this interview and that job is not me, but oh my God, it is you. You have to go interview there. It was like, again, the pull method. It came to me. And then I was like, okay. So then I stepped into it and I was like, oh my God, this is me. Like, it just like made me tick in all parts of myself, right? So what happens when you're aligned with yourself, it's actually very easy. It's not that I didn't work, but gosh, it is not hard when you're being yourself and 100% yourself, because you don't have to even retire because you love it that much.
Yeah.
Like, you're doing it for a different reason. You're doing it because it's feeding your heart and your soul. You're not doing it for the paycheck. And I think that's the biggest difference. People go, well, I'm going to do that when I retire. I'm like, okay, when you're about to get sick and die? Like, that's not fun. Like, why do you have to wait until you're old and grumpy and grouchy?
We have the whole thing backwards, right? It's the whole
Absolutely.
game backwards.
Absolutely.
I say the same thing. I'm like, you're young, you're fit, you've got
Yeah.
like all your bearings are together. Go and have some fun and stop worrying about like when you're 70.
And not have fun with debt, right? Have the
No.
fun with creating a life that you love. Like, I had one woman, she's like, she would shame herself big time because she wasn't like everyone else. She was a hairdresser and she taught at hair and makeup at Paul Mitchell, which is a big brand here in the United States. And I go, well, why are you judging yourself? And she like, just because like all of her friends went away to college and she went to cosmetology school. But I said, why do you think you have to do one thing to make money? And she's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, you keep talking about how you love California and you can't wait to leave Illinois. I'm like, why do you keep talking about it and don't you just go do it? And the work she does today, she found that, oh my God, she loves working on movie sets. And then from that, people kept telling her that she was so funny. So then she started doing stand-up comedy. And she was just being herself on movie sets, talking to people, and they're like, you really got to do stand-up comedy.
Wow.
And whenever she needs extra money from working on movie sets, teaching hair and makeup to people who are learning it, and then she drives Uber if she needs a little extra cash. So she has 4 jobs in essence.
Yeah.
But she's such a creative. She has a non-linear brain. Her brain does not work like mine. Mine is a linear brain. My left brain linear. She's all over the map. But to society, that's like wrong. But it's not wrong. But that's why she's really good at makeup on movie sets, because she's so creative. She has a non-linear brain. She can see things that other people can't see. Well, so she had to design her life around her. And now that she's doing all these different things, like stand-up comedy and sometimes Uber or Lyft and makeup on movie sets, she had a couple roommates while she was still, but now she doesn't need the roommates because she can pay for her own apartment. And so it evolves and grows. She's so happy. And she was super overweight. She was like 350 pounds when she first went to California. Now she's like less than 200. Because she's in alignment with self.
Yeah.
The weight stays off when you're in alignment with self. But when she was like telling herself all this shame and guilt and all this other stuff, it was packing the pounds on because she had to protect herself from all the crap that was coming at her. Right?
Wow. Incredible, isn't it? What a turnaround.
Yeah.
All
she did was decide to be herself. 100% herself.
Exactly. She requires that crazy diversity in her life.
Yeah.
And wow, good for her. Good for her.
Now, for me, that would give me like a panic attack. Like, I've had the same company since I was 22. I'm now 53, yeah. Right? Like, I like steady and solid. Like, but that's okay. That's me, right?
Yeah, I get you. But I mean, you're still doing a lot of other stuff, projects with your books and podcasting. And I mean,
keep pushing the envelope.
Yeah,
I'm an entrepreneur to the day that I die.
Yeah, I think you will be, won't you?
I'm a pioneer.
Yeah, exactly. That's awesome. Let's get to another question for you.
Let's do it.
Okay, this one's cool. Without naming names, right? Without naming any names, what's the biggest money mess you've had to try and clean up for somebody?
Oh, the biggest money mess.
That's a tricky one off the spot, isn't it?
Yeah, I could tell you a funny one. The one that popped in my head. When I was early on in my career, I was referred to somebody in Chicago, and the Like, he's a real Chicago guy. And I'm like, okay. And he said, when I was in his office, somebody knocked on the door and he looked at me and he looked at him and he looked at me and he looked at him. And I was going, and then he just gives him a nod. He goes, she's okay. And I was like, I'm okay for what? So then closes the door, comes in, takes out a wad of cash, like a stack. And then all of a sudden, it was like in the movies. The file cabinet came open. The back of the filing cabinet had a door to it, and all the cash went in there. And I was naive as all get out when I was in my early 20s. And I was like,
Yeah.
I don't know. And I couldn't figure out why, I started to realize that I was so much just trying to help people. Like, it wasn't until I got married when I was 29. So this person I knew for 10 years almost, that, I was the clean money. It was the money that I was putting into the system, as opposed to, and that person is no longer a client because they pushed themselves too much. They got pinched with some stuff,
Really?
with the government. And I can't legally represent people who are doing illegal stuff.
Of course.
So, right. And so I no longer was their person. And another mess, it's so funny. And the city of Chicago is corrupt as all get out. And I think Al Capone is still like running and operating from the grave in Chicago. But like, I had somebody come into my office. They wanted me to help them financially. I actually told them I couldn't be their financial planner because their job was in the morning, they would go to their state job, and in the afternoon they were out in the field, so they weren't in the office. But then they had a city job that was in the field in the morning, and then they had in the office in the afternoon. So they had two $80,000 salary jobs, one with the state, one with the city of Chicago. But they were never in the field. They just went from one office to the other office and never went to the field and collected two salaries. And I said, I really can't help you because I pay taxes and you're ripping me off.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting how some of that stuff started to come out of the woodwork. And I worked in the city of Chicago. That's where my office is. And so you run into these things through the years, and that always catches up with people, always.
Really?
It at some juncture, what I want to tell people is like, you're creating a leaky container. You're just how you said, a hole in your pocket with your money. Like, if you're not doing things that are on the up and up, or even if people declare bankruptcy, like in the United States, if you declare bankruptcy, you didn't fix your money patterns. All you did is, it was like you got a quick fix.
Yeah.
It's like a drug, right? It's like, give me a quick fix and it's all going to be okay. And then you wake up in the reality that you still created because you didn't build the financial muscles to actually put yourself in a good position. And so, like, I personally love all the shakeout and the cleanup of what's going on in the American system right now, because there's so much that's not in the up and up. I realized, at least in the United States, I used to go up to Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C. to do what they call retirement week. They would have 50 financial planners go up there. And if you worked for Capitol Hill, you could actually come and get free financial advice. And I realized that almost everybody who worked up on Capitol Hill were like fourth and fifth generation trust fund families. So they didn't have to go really work because their trust fund would pay for their lifestyle. And the incomes that you get from those kind of jobs are only like $30,000 a year. So you can't live on that. And they all, by the time they retired, would have 3 different pensions because it only took like 15, 20 years to get pension qualifications. And I don't believe the United States is the only system that works that way. And it's the powers that be. So when with your question of where have I seen that, people screwed up, that how did I help them fix it?
Yeah.
we create these leaky containers, whether you're doing it on the up and up or not. We create these leaky containers that eventually falls apart on you and you fall on your face, or into challenges that you have to overcome. And this alignment with self, I cannot stress how important that is to people, because your heart is the biggest magnet on the planet, the human heart. They know that your heart magnetizes for over 8 miles. And the mind, so you think you're doing something financially smart, but that only magnetizes for 2 feet. But your heart magnetizes for over 8 miles. So if you're not doing things, you're going to have a bigger mess in your life if you're not in alignment with your heart. And then you create these leaky containers, which then create crises that force things into alignment.
Well,
right? And I've seen it so many times. It's not rocket science. And the crisis could be a financial crisis. It could be a health crisis. It just depends, right?
Yeah.
What your soul has called in to get yourself back in alignment with self.
It's deep. It's deep, isn't it? It really is.
Yeah, because
It's
otherwise you're just doing it on the surface.
Yeah, I mean, this question here actually aligns with that. There's a question here that says, most people think money problems are about numbers. In Julie's experience, what are they actually about? I think you kind of answered that, didn't you?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's about that unresolved trauma or rejection that happened before age 7 that wants to be addressed. And we either work things out or we act it out, and we do it through our money, our health, or our relationships. So I know when somebody's coming to me and maybe they've got a couple $1 million, then I know to ask questions. How's your relationships? How's your health? Because if their money stuff is in alignment and they just want somebody to like manage their money more efficiently, usually they're divorced a couple times, or like separated, or their kids don't talk to them, or they've had health challenges. Because again, we work it out or we act it out through our money, our health, or our relationships. Always.
So your financial situation has a direct correlation to where you are in your heart and your soul, almost.
Not almost, it is.
Wow.
And
So that's
people
what you
will
write
say,
about.
well, that's what all my books are about. And people think that it's not like, well, I know these people and they're real jerks in business and they have millions. And I'm telling you, that mountain is going to crumble. It always does. Whether you're like laid off of your job because, I don't know, you ticked somebody off too much in the wrong direction because of where you're pushing. You know, that's why like when people give everything to their careers and they're making a bunch of money, it's only a matter of time before they're going to get divorced. It's only a matter of time because they forgot about their relationships.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, yeah. God.
It's not rocket science to me. And 50% of my male clients between 55 and 65 years old have developed some kind of cancer around their hip area. And for women, it's breast cancer. And I started looking at, well, why did these guys get sick? Well, every single one of them was let go of their job, not by their choice. So they were in their careers, making money, providing for their families. And then in their late 50s, early 60s, the company decided to downsize or something happened and they got laid off. So the thing that defined them for so many years is now gone. Their physical system went like hard. It just like skidded out. And every single one of them was cancer around their hip area, prostate, colon, every single one. So now I share that story with men who are like in their 30s and 40s going, now is the time before you get trapped by the big salary and stay in the job because of the big salary. I need you to align to be happy now and keep going on that track. And otherwise, you're going to get sick just like everybody else. Like, I see it so often. It's not surprising to me at all.
I've seen something similar a lot myself. More along the lines of people who retire
Yeah,
and they lose their purpose, and
totally.
you might meet them a year or two later, and they've aged like by 2 decades, and
Hmm.
they've just shut down.
Right. Because it's no longer that you retire and just sit in your house and rock in a recliner. Right. And to me, it's about, well, what do you want to do when you retire? Like, I'm talking to people about that 10 years before they ever do it, so that we're starting to plant the seeds for what it
Mm,
is that they're going to be doing. And like, I have one woman, she loves plays. And so she's the person who hands out the booklets before people go into the plays. And she loves it because she has plenty of money. She can pay for any place she ever wanted to go to, but she thinks it's amazing how she gets to go see them all for free now because she's so
yeah.
frugal. It makes her giggle. And she's that lady who loves everybody. She's like the socialite. She's having the time of her life. I have another woman who started a dog walking company when she retired. And she's
Great
like,
idea.
well, I needed to get exercise, so I have to walk dogs all the time. And she makes like $25,000 a year walking dogs. And she loves
Yeah.
it. She's now been doing it for 12 years in retirement.
Awesome. No, I
I
mean,
would never walk dogs. I don't like dogs enough to do that. But
oh,
she loves
oh,
dogs,
I
right?
would walk dogs.
Yeah, no, it's funny. We all have our quirks. When I want to hear a funny story. I was
Yeah.
early on in business, and I used to go to people's houses, and I had this client, and they had a golden retriever, and they insisted I took my shoes off when I came in their house, so I did, but I had nylons on. This golden retriever licked my feet for 2 hours underneath the kitchen table. I had slobber all over my feet, and I didn't want to be polite and like kick the dog in the face, but I was just trying to be polite and like, oh, he's got a nylon fetish. And I'm sitting here going, I don't find that funny whatsoever. I think this is disgusting, and it's all over my feet. And
Yeah.
so since then, I like dogs. I don't love dogs, right? Like, but I will pet a dog, but I don't want a
Yeah.
dog. You know what I mean?
I can understand that. I've never been a victim of a 2 hour dog with a foot
And they
fetish.
wouldn't move their dog. I was like, and I just was like, back then I was
Yeah.
too shy and too polite. And yeah, today
Yeah.
I would absolutely say something
Get
like
your
in
dog
30
off me.
seconds. I would be
Yeah.
like, can we put the dog in another room or
Yeah.
something? I would, and I'd be nice about it, but I would definitely do something different.
I think we should segue from a dog to our final question, so I give you
Yes,
time to
let's
get
do
back
it.
to business.
Thank
And
you.
I think this final question is very important. Um, if someone only changes one habit, and someone that's listening to us right now only changes one habit with their life, let's say, not just their money, what should it be?
So I always tell people, take the word budget out of your vocabulary. And the reason I say that is because a budget makes you feel like you can't have what you want, that you've been bad, get in alignment, get back on track, get in alignment with your budget, right? It's like you went back to private school and the nuns hitting you with a ruler, you know?
Yeah.
I want you to choose your cash flows, whatever you choose to cash flow out the door, from a place of empowerment. So what I want you to do is I want you to just write down every bill that you have every month, even the subscriptions that automatically renew on your phone, right?
Mm.
That you have no clue even get charged to your credit card anyway. And I want you to go through all those bills and say, are these really priorities for me anymore? Yes or no? Usually I find somewhere between $100 to $300 or euros for people. And then once they find that free cash flow, so like you decide, I'm not doing these anymore, I then want you to take that free money that you just found, and I want you to put it in something that plants the seeds for what you want to create in your future. So for example, If you want to buy a new car, fine, open up a savings account and call it your car fund, and you have that $300 a month or $200 or $100 a month. Sometimes people be like, well, I only found $50. I'm like, I don't care. I don't care what it is. It's about you shifting your financial energy from being victim to a system to being empowered and choosing that this is where I want it to go. Now, some people will tell me, well, I'm going to use that and I'm going to pay off debt every month. No, don't do that.
Okay.
You can I tell people do it in thirds. If you want some of it to go to debt, only have a third of it go to debt. Have a third of it to build for your future, and you can take a third and spend it every month or put it in a bucket that you will spend down the road, like a car.
Yeah. Holiday.
Cut it in thirds. Why? Because you want to clean up your financial past by paying off your debts while living in the present moment and planning for the future all at the same time. That way, you actually get out of the rut that you built yourself in, but you can live today and then also create the tomorrow you want.
Why didn't we meet 10 years ago?
Because divine timing put us in alignment now.
I'll take it. I'll take it now. Sure, it's all
Right?
good. That was an excellent piece of advice for myself and my listeners. So I
Oh,
appreciate
thanks,
that.
Adam.
And I appreciate you coming on. It's been awesome.
Absolutely.
And I just think you should tell my listeners where they can find out more about you, your podcast, your books, everything.
Absolutely. Well, you can get all my books on Amazon. I have 3 of them: Emotion Behind Money, Awaken Your Wealth, and The 4 Spiritual Laws of Money. JulieMurphy.com is my website that can get you to anything. My Instagram and my social channels are Awaken with Julie. And my YouTube is Julie Murphy, and I'm not the one that writes children's books. There's another Julie Murphy, because there's a lot of Murphys. We multiplied very well in our clan. But I'm the financial one.
Okay.
But yeah, you can find me. I've got a lot of stuff out there, and to me, it's about really helping you live the life that you love. And don't wait
Excellent.
until you're retired. Don't wait till you're old. You can do it today. You can, and it starts with the little pieces that add up to the big picture. So anyone in any circumstance can start from anywhere. And I do weekly coaching for people too. Every Tuesday I have group coaching. I make it very affordable so that people can do it. It's funny, I have some people from Germany that are on my show. So it doesn't matter where you are in the world, you can get the help that you need.
The beauty of the internet, Julie.
I know, right? I don't have to take a boat across the ocean.
Well, look, stay on the line with me for a moment. I'm just going to
Absolutely.
end this podcast. So thank you very much for coming on. I just got to
Thank
ask you
you.
one question off air.
Mhm.